Forum. I'm Edmundo Lijo. I'm an assistant city attorney with the city of St. Paul, and I am charged with managing and developing the immigrant and refugee program for the city of St. Paul. Together with my co-host Michelle Rivero from the city of Minneapolis, we host this monthly meeting to address topics of interest and concern to immigrants and refugee residents and individuals and organizations that serve immigrant and refugee communities. This monthly series originated as a way to unpack federal immigration policies, programs, actions, and news. The forum has expanded beyond immigration updates to include discussions on a variety of topics touching Minnesota residents with community and government speakers and updates. And with that, I'll turn it over to Michelle to introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Michelle Rivero. I'm the director of the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs for the city of Minneapolis, an office that is dedicated to ensuring that Minneapolis residents are able to achieve lives of safety, dignity, and prosperity in the city of Minneapolis. And we're super excited to welcome folks here to today's Twin Cities Immigration Forum, where we're recognizing Welcoming Week. I'll turn it back over to Edmundo.
Thanks, Michelle. Welcoming Week this year is celebrated from September 8th through September 17th, so it's this week. Welcoming Week is an international annual campaign and celebration to showcase the movement of communities striving to be more welcoming places for all, including immigrants, refugees, and new arrivals. One of the main sponsors and promoters of Welcoming Week is Welcoming America, a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization that leads a movement of inclusive communities becoming more prosperous by ensuring everyone belongs. And our first guest today is Brianna Broberg from Welcoming America, and she's going to tell us a little bit about Welcoming Week. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Edmundo and Michelle, and thank you everyone for having me. Really excited to be here and speak with you all. If it's okay, I'm going to share my screen. I have a few slides, and I'll just chat with you all a little bit about Welcoming America and about Welcoming Week.
That'd be great.
Can everybody see?
Yes.
Okay, great. So as Edmundo said, my name is Brianna Broberg. I'm the Midwest Regional Manager at Welcoming America. And as he mentioned, we are a national nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. We have staff members that are located in a number of different places throughout the country, in a lot of different states. I'm lucky enough to be based here in St. Paul. And my position as the Midwest Regional Manager allows me to work with folks across a 10-state region in the Midwest, including here in Minnesota and throughout all of its neighboring states and beyond. As Edmundo mentioned, Welcoming America leads a movement of inclusive communities. We believe that all people, including immigrants, are valued contributors and vital to the success of our communities and shared future. And Welcoming America's big idea is really about the power of local communities to change the narrative on immigration and make everyone who lives in their community feel like they belong, and beyond feeling that they have the support in place to really thrive and prosper. Welcoming America is a membership-based organization, and our members are local governments at the city and county level and local nonprofit organizations that become part of our Welcoming Network. And through that network, members receive access to tools and resources, technical assistance, and a nationwide peer network of localities and organizations that are working to transform their communities into more welcoming places. There are currently over 300 members in the US, including the city of St. Paul and the city of Minneapolis. And while there are that variety of member benefits that I mentioned, folks can engage with Welcoming America in a number of ways, whether they're members or not. And one of those ways includes what I'm here to talk about today, which is Welcoming Week. Welcoming Week is an annual campaign that celebrates the work in communities to become more welcoming places for all, including immigrants. As Edmundo mentioned, it's happening right now, September 8th through the 17th, and happens every year around that same time, about the second week of September. It was initially launched in 2012 by Welcoming America and some of its members. And Welcoming Week provides individuals and organizations the opportunity to showcase their values through events and initiatives that foster connections and collaboration between immigrants and non-immigrants, as well as belonging for all. So through Welcoming Week, organizations and communities bring together neighbors of all backgrounds to build strong connections and to affirm the importance of welcoming and inclusive places in achieving collective prosperity. So one of the great things about Welcoming Week is its range. You can connect your narrative and your programs and events celebrating Welcoming Week to a global perspective, and they can also be curated and deployed in a really hyper-local context and kind of anything in between. Welcoming Week can serve as a vehicle to spotlight your work and that of your community partners. I've been fortunate enough to get to travel to a number of Welcoming Week events throughout the state already this week, and I'll continue to do so throughout the region over the rest of this week and this weekend. There have been a wonderful variety of events. Over in Morris, Minnesota, there were a couple of nonprofit organizations that worked together to host drumming and Latin dance lessons for anyone in the community that wanted to participate. There's a small city of Kirkoven, Minnesota, that's near my hometown of Wilmer, Minnesota. And they have only about 800 people in Kirkoven, but they hosted a Welcoming Week celebration in a local park so that community members from all across their county, Swift County, could come together to share food and make art projects and learn about available community resources. Up in Perham, Minnesota, they hosted a community art project where anyone who wanted to could come paint a tile that had a welcoming message. And then those tiles will be put together to create a welcoming wall in their City Hall park. And down in Winona, Minnesota, they have over a dozen events happening throughout Welcoming Week this year, including a Citizenship Day celebration, an around the world potluck, a community bike ride. So really the possibilities are endless. Welcoming Week, it's really a balanced narrative campaign about welcoming communities, talking about what's being done on immigrant inclusion and equity at the local level by local communities with immigrant and refugees, and how we can all benefit and how we celebrate this together. It's also about hosting local events that bring people together with or without recent migration experience to work on a common goal and to catalyze further collaborations that can hopefully feed into a longer term inclusion strategies and ultimately to institutional change. As I mentioned, Welcoming Week began in the US about 11 years ago. It was a campaign that was initially suggested by some of Welcoming America's members and has since been organically adopted and adapted in several different countries and localities. Over the past few years, there have been National Welcoming Week celebrations in Canada, in New Zealand, in Australia. This year, the first National Welcoming Week is being celebrated in Mexico, and we expect to see a number of individual events in other countries as well. So there's really a growing global interest. And as a result, we have continued to develop and adapt multilingual assets and resources that provide an opportunity to be a part of kind of a united global chorus of welcoming communities, but still being able to kind of flexibly adjust any of those pieces to be really resonant locally in whatever way that you want to celebrate in your community. Welcoming Week is a great opportunity to establish new partnerships and relationships. So on this slide here, I've shared some of our national partners in Welcoming Week, but local communities can partner together or form coalitions. We really encourage folks to think about who are some non-traditional partners that you'd like to engage and how you can kind of co-create events with them for Welcoming Week. So a great example of that happened this year in the city of Austin, Minnesota. They're hosting a variety of events, including something that's called Science is for All, which was co-sponsored by the Hormel Corporation, one of the largest employers in the community. So it doesn't need to be limited just to local government or local nonprofits. The business sector, individuals, anyone who wants to in community can and should participate. And at its core, Welcoming Week helps individuals and institutions and communities to strengthen their bridge building and their social cohesion muscles. Welcoming really is for everyone. And bridge building activities and lenses allow us to get really creative with how we think about the audiences and the events for Welcoming Week. And really, we think of Welcoming Week as a great on-ramp to deeper and more sustained welcoming and belonging work in your community. It can be a good way to encourage engagement from partners who may not normally be thinking about welcoming or inclusion or belonging, not because they don't support it, but just because they might not know how, it might not have occurred to them for any variety of reasons. But once you've made that initial inroad through Welcoming Week, then you've developed a connection, and it becomes easier to continue the conversation and the work beyond Welcoming Week. So Welcoming America has a variety of Welcoming Week resources to help you learn more about it and to find out where events are happening in your community or virtually, and to plan or co-design your own events. On the Welcoming Week website, there's a variety of useful things. The website, again, it's welcomingweek.org, and it includes a number of explainers and translated materials and assets. It also has a place where you can sign up for the Welcoming Week newsletter, so you always have the most up-to-date information each year. And there's also a great Welcoming Week event map that is helpful not only to see what events are happening in the current year, but also to help serve as inspiration as you develop your own events. You can see what's been happening in other places. We also have a toolkit on the Welcoming Week website, which provides a lot of materials. Sometimes it can feel overwhelming to try to develop some of these things on your own, especially when you're first getting started with Welcoming Week. So it includes things like communications tools, so templates for letters to reach out to stakeholders in the community or to do press releases. We've got logos and visual assets for social media and for in-person visual communication. And there's an event planning guide to help through the process. So a lot of good materials in that toolkit. And lastly here, I know that I've just shared a lot of information in a short period of time, so I'm just sharing my contact info. I'm just Brianna at welcomingamerica.org. So if you ever have any questions about Welcoming Week or about Welcoming America, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm happy to connect and to assist in whatever way that I can. So I'll stop now, but thank you so much for letting me share with you a little about Welcoming Week and Welcoming America. And I'm excited to hear from the rest of the speakers today.
Thank you, Brianna. That was wonderful. Really appreciate you being here with us today and for presenting. And with that, any questions for Brianna?
Edmundo, it's Kathleen Mopsenbecker. I was going to type this into the chat, but thanks for opening up for questions. Brianna,
Sure.
Thank you for your work. Especially, I know it's exhausting, all the events this week, but it makes my heart sing when I hear places, small towns like Wilmer or other places leaning into this. So that's so great. As you know, we're trying at Alight, where I work, to do mobilization for Welcome Corps. And it just seems to me like every single town that did something for Welcoming Week would be wonderful candidates to learn more about Welcome Corps. We've chatted on this before, but is there a way to get a list of everything that happened in Minnesota, and maybe Alight could follow up?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the Welcoming Week website, the event map, you can search by locality. So you can see all of the events that happened in Minnesota. And there's usually contact info there for who planned those events. And also just for everyone else on the call, community sponsorship has been a focus of particular interest for Welcoming Week this year. And so there is some information about that on the Welcoming Week website as well, if you want to learn more about what Kathleen was mentioning.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions before we go on to our next Welcoming Week guest?
Can I have a question?
Sure, Justo, go ahead.
By the way, I'm a big fan of Welcome America, and one of the things that you said that I really like is about of the meaning of welcome. You have a lot of members. You say include local governments and individuals, private industry, and I just wondered if you. I mean, you say you have a toolkit, but I mean, really something that lay out the foundations of actually welcoming. Because I mean, a lot of folks believe that having a nice size saying welcoming is enough, and another is really giving individuals the opportunity to engage and to participate, and others to find information and so on. I just don't know when especially I'm interested more about local governments when they sign in, if you actually meet with them and provide good information that can help them kind of better prepare themselves and serve those individuals who are coming to their localities.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. I will put in the chat in just a moment. Welcoming America has something called the Welcoming Standard, which outlines different pillars of welcoming, inclusion, and belonging that we encourage all communities and members of communities to think about in order to develop a truly welcoming community. And so when we meet with our members, whether they're localities or others, that's really at the backbone of all that we do. So I didn't chat about it today because the focus was specifically on Welcoming Week, but thank you so much for raising that because it is really important. And that's really a big part of how we sustain that welcoming work beyond Welcoming Week. So I'll put that in the chat for anyone who might be interested.
Right. Thank you, Brianna. And Justo, I can attest, both Michelle and I have been beneficiaries of Welcoming America's programming, extensive, fantastic programming on welcoming and belonging. Also, Welcoming America is one of the partners in the Gateways for Growth initiative. So we've worked a great deal with Welcoming America through the Gateways for Growth initiative, which resulted in the Journey to Belonging in the Twin Cities report. So I can't say enough good things about Welcoming America and the work they're doing. Been very supportive of our cities, and we're very grateful. So thank you, Brianna, so much for being here.
Thank
And
you.
then that will go to our elected officials too. I mean, and again, it's the important thing is just to get them to invest into that welcoming efforts. And I don't know if that's part also what the organization does.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we try to work with local community and with everyone within community in order to increase that investment and engagement, whether through particular programming or policies that are adopted in community, and also just through, making connections with folks in other localities to help kind of think about what's happening in your community and what issues are you working on, what are you trying to overcome, and who else maybe has been thinking about or doing the same kind of thing. Sometimes it helps to just feel like you're sort of not alone. So yeah, that's definitely something we think about and try and do.
Great. Thank you so much, Brianna. And you'll be invited back soon, I'm sure. Okay, next we have another Welcoming America partner and promoter of Welcoming Week, the YMCA. Let's see, Ward Westray, are you here?
I'm on, yes. Hi,
Great.
Mundo.
Great. Hi.
Awesome, thanks. So if you mind, I will share a very quick PowerPoint here. Okay, can everybody see that okay?
Yes, looks good.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent, thanks. So my name is Ward Westray, and thank you to Michelle and Mundo for having me on today. And I work for the YMCA of the North, and the program I represent within the YMCA of the North is the New American Welcome Center program. And I'll touch upon that just very briefly. Basically, we provide state services to people with refugee and immigrant backgrounds, and providing with up to 5 years of long-term support of various kinds. And kind of a corollary of part of what we do is we also have hub sites which host different clients and different service providers. And at some of these hub sites and also other YMCA branches too, since the inception of Welcoming Week, the YMCAs of the North have been participating in a Welcoming Week. And I've been overseeing our efforts to do this in the YMCA of the North since 2021. And the YMCA of the North, by the way, that really just means the 19 or so branches that we have across the metro area. So basically, I've been kind of coordinating the efforts for these YMCA branches and overseeing their designated activities and other suggested potential activities that they may want to do on top of that as well. First, I will just very briefly show you the kind of base program that we provide at these YMCA hub sites, which is the Family Assister Program. Many of you might be familiar with this, but just to very quickly touch upon it, in case that ever might be relevant to people you're working with, we provide immediate and basic and emergency support to those with refugee legal status for a period of up to 5 years. And again, some of these services, these services are provided at a few different hub sites within the YMCAs too, but also many of them are provided remotely. So just know that the YMCA is deeply involved in this work of providing services to immigrants and lifting their efforts up. And if you are ever connected to anyone with refugee eligibility who might be in need of some of these services, then please do feel free to connect to me. I will leave my contact info in the chat after this too, but just wanted to mention that as well. So for Welcoming Week specifically, as I mentioned, the YMCA of the North, which again means the metro area YMCAs, they've been participating in this for years, and I've been overseeing their efforts. This is my third year now doing it. And they've done a really great job. So this year, I believe there are 13 branches participating in Welcoming Week. And we, as YMCA of the North, basically the Minneapolis-St. Paul YMCA, all of us take guidance from YUSA, our mother entity, and they provide us yearly guidance and training on Welcoming Week to impart to us the importance of Welcoming Week, kind of what it's about, and also best practices for hosting events too. So all of us are very well versed in Welcoming America and Welcoming Week itself, and kind of how to host events too. And for YMCAs of the North, we have been doing this for several years, like I mentioned. And these are a few photos from the last 2 years that I've done this. Basically, what they've been doing so far is a variety of different interactive activities. You can see here some sheets that people fill out, usually at the front foyer and front desk, for both the staff members that are working there and also community members and members of the Y too, to participate in this alike. So people can, place a pin on the map for where they might identify coming from. People can fill out a sheet saying, here's why I choose to welcome newcomers, and other kind of fun interactive activities like that too. I won't spoil all of them in case anybody does want to visit and check them out as well. Also, some of these branches do host optional events on top of this too. I know that last year, a few of these included a potluck, a cooking class, and even a Zumba class too. So there's a lot of kind of crazy fun stuff that tends to happen at these branches during Welcoming Week. And I definitely encourage people to go there and check it out if you're interested. We also do like to broadcast the work of our partner agencies and different events that they are doing too. So I know that sometimes YMCAs will host on TVs something that might be going on in the city, or just link to those as well. So we definitely are all about broadcasting and spotlighting the efforts of our partners as well. I believe that last year, I estimated that around 400 people participated in our activities. So basically, people either completed one of these interactive events or they did some other optional activity that the YMCAs were doing. So we were super happy with that outcome, and with more branches participating this year than the last 2 years I've been here, we definitely expect that number to rise too. Here are the branches that will be participating this year. And again, if you're interested in seeing firsthand kind of exactly what's going on at these Ys, I definitely encourage you to stop by, or if you are already a member, then definitely feel free to do that as well. And yeah, we look forward to hopefully seeing you there and broadcasting the importance of Welcoming Week and this work that we're all involved in. Here is my contact info. Again, I'll put this in the chat. But I just wanted to say thank you again to Michelle and Amundo, and Welcoming Week has been really awesome. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Ward, so much for being here today and all the work you and the Y are doing for Welcoming Week. Any questions for Ward?
Ward, it's Kathleen Matson-Becker from Alight. Do you have a sense of how many families those YMCA assisters help right now?
Yes. So I mean, trying to count our staff. We have it's like 15 staff, give or take, and I would say probably 20 or so clients, a staff member. So definitely, well above 100 people being served at any given moment. We are kind of I'd be happy to talk more about that arm of it, but we are one of 5 different state programs, and we are kind of the most immediate needs arm of those 5 programs. So we tend to turn through clients more quickly than those other 4 programs, just because their needs are often, although not always, more immediately met too. So I would say 100 to 200 clients usually floating at any given time. So we definitely are. We always have our hands full.
Well, thank you. I think we have another question from Mary.
Yeah. Yes, I'm Mary Donovan. I live in Robbinsdale near the New Hope Y, and I'm on their board actually. My question is though about housing needs. I have a lower level that's just recently vacated. And so, but it's only suitable for probably one person because it's just 1 bedroom with a queen bed. Do you, the Y, help people find housing?
That's a great question. Yes. And that is through that New American Welcome Center and Family Assister program I had mentioned. And I certainly don't want to promise any silver bullets in terms of our work, but it's always a process like any housing work is, but we definitely, we do a lot of heavy invested work in housing, whether that is finding shelter for people or longer term housing too, or something like Section 8. So absolutely, that's definitely a big component of our work.
So I could start maybe, Ward, by getting in touch with you and describing and
yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll do that at some point. I'm not like anxious right now. I'm not even sure it's appropriate for me, the space, whatever, but I will get in touch with you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, thank you, Ward, so much. And thank you to the Y for everything you guys do, and looking forward to a continued partnership. Next, I'm going to turn it back over to Michelle to talk a little bit about what the cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul have been doing for Welcoming Week. Michelle?
Thank you, Edmundo. So just wanted to put a little bit of a spotlight on our Welcoming Week activities this week. As some may know, September 17th is Citizenship Day, also known as Constitution Day. It was a day that the U.S. Constitution was signed, and an opportunity to reflect on citizenship and our own U.S. Constitution. And as part of the reason, at least as I understand it, that Welcoming Week always falls within this time period that includes September 17th. And so this year we celebrated in Minneapolis and St. Paul the 1-year anniversary of our citizenship campaign, which has been an opportunity to share information about the citizenship application process, demystify the citizenship application process, and connect people to resources to enable them to take that last step of applying for United States citizenship, from connecting to immigration legal service providers, to literacy organizations, to organizations that can assist people with the filing the naturalization application filing fee, as the city of Minneapolis and the city of St. Paul both have partnerships with Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union with the New American Loan Program to help people pay their naturalization application filing fees. So this last event that we had was on Saturday. It was very well attended. We had about 100 folks present. One thing that was really beautiful and dynamic was the number of individuals, the number of languages spoken, the way that people were helping each other. There were some languages that we did not anticipate, individuals who spoke Turkish and Swahili, and it was very beautiful how people came in to provide interpretation support for languages that we did not have contract interpreters for, and a good opportunity to really reflect on language access and ensuring that people are able to understand the information that's provided. So it's a great example of the welcomed becoming the welcomers. And a wonderful event. Our next event is going to take place. The next Citizenship and Immigration Fair will take place on October 14th. And we have just identified a partner host organization, which is COPAL. But as far as the event that took place on this past Saturday is concerned, we're really grateful for the many organizations that participated, the table that provided information. We had a driver's license for all component too, where driver and vehicle services offered a presentation and were available to answer questions about the new driver's license for all bill, which law that goes into effect on October 1st, enabling anyone to obtain a driver's license regardless of immigration status, and feel a great deal of gratitude, especially to our host, Wilder Foundation and Open Cities, which offered vaccines for the event. So thank you very much to all, and really excited that we could celebrate Welcoming Week with this in-person service event to connect people with resources to assist them in taking that step from permanent residence to U.S. citizenship. Back to you, Edmundo.
Grazie, Michelle. Thank you. And any questions for Michelle before we move on? If not, we will move on, keeping with our theme of Welcoming Week. We have Zenia Hernandez from the St. Paul Public Library here to tell us about a new project of the library's Welcoming Points, which I think will initiate in either October or November. Zenia, welcome.
Thank you all. Yes, it will be November. So I'm Senia Hernandez with St. Paul Public Library. I'm a public services manager. And over the last few months, we've been in conversation with Edmundo from the city attorney's office to really kind of just discuss how we can support new immigrants coming into town and maybe not always being able to find what they need. And so at the library, we are super passionate about information and helping people find that information. And so not quite a welcome center, but we're looking to establish welcoming points in some of our libraries where we have print materials that people can access right away, and also build awareness in our staff so that they're able to recognize when someone comes in and has a lot of questions around citizenship or getting a driver's license. So all of those related services. So we haven't kicked off yet, so this is more of just like a little teaser, but we're hoping to host the next citizenship fair in November at the Rondo Community Library. Well, we will launch the Welcoming Point. So these are going to be at its base level, a table with a nice banner in multiple language that says you're welcomed here, and all of the information ready to be handed out and talked about. Along with that, we are expanding our library cards to not require ID when you first sign up. So we are providing welcome cards that are good for 6 months, and we're hoping that that's enough time for people to get through the process of getting some identification and becoming a full library member. And with those welcome cards, they'll be able to access our digital resources, our print collections. They can attend all of our programs at any time. And we do have a variety of online learning platforms, including transparent language. We have CellEd, which is a really cool platform that's on cell phone. So it's all really like bite-sized English learning, GED learning, job skills learning on your phone. And so we're hoping to get more people connected to our library resources, and then also point them in the right direction to all of you, to the other community service providers. So I just wanted to introduce myself, let you all know that's coming, and I am writing down your names. You're going to be hearing from me, and I'll probably request some things from you as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zenia. Very excited about Welcoming Points. I think it's got potential to do some really good things, and so we're very excited in St. Paul about it. Any questions for Xenia about Welcoming Points or the libraries? The libraries are such a great resource.
Xenia, if people have questions, if you wouldn't mind putting your contact information in the chat, that would be awesome.
I will do that. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think I was muted. Sorry. But I just would say thank you that we're very excited about Welcoming Points and very excited in St. Paul about Welcoming Points. And we look forward to seeing it come through. All right. Next, Michelle, I think we're going back to you to talk about immigration updates quickly.
Okay, everybody, this is going to be lightning speed, and I just want you to know that I'm doing a better job of sending out notes quickly, so there'll be more details in the notes. But I'm just going to give a high-level overview of some immigration-related developments that you may or may not have seen. First, this week, there was a DACA decision in the Texas DACA case, Texas v. United States. Unfortunately, the judge found the new DACA rule that was implemented by the Biden administration to be unlawful. And the DACA program has been vacated and remanded to DHS for further action. What does this mean? There is a portion of the judge's order that stayed. So even with this decision, DACA recipients who received their initial DACA status prior to July 16th, 2021, may still have their DACA renewals processed while the case moves up on appeal. There will be more to come. I'm sure that there will be a number of practice advisories from a number of different sources, but just wanted to share this news this week. Also, temporary protected status. The federal government has expanded the time frame within which you can re-register for TPS for individuals from a number of different countries. The TPS re-registration period, the time that you have to file your re-registration, has typically been 60 days, but the federal government has expanded that to 18 months. For individuals who are citizens or nationals of El Salvador, Haiti, Honduras, Nepal, Nicaragua, and Sudan. And just to clarify, this doesn't change the extension period. It just expands the amount of time that people have to file. Another update relates to the Child Status Protection Act, which is a law that protects people's age for purposes of applying for permanent resident status as under 18, under 21, under 18, I think. Anyway, there are some changes that prevent beneficiaries from losing their eligibility. There's a bit of some changes regarding what is considered to be extraordinary circumstances. So on the USCIS webpage, the policy manual indicates what those updates are, and we'll share those in the notes as well for people to study further. Another update relates to interpreters for asylum interviews. Starting September 13th, so starting yesterday, people who are applying for asylum who want to proceed in a language other than English and need an interpreter must bring their own interpreter. The interpreter must be fluent both in English and the language that the applicant speaks, and must be at least 18 years old. If an asylum applicant needs an interpreter or doesn't bring one, or if the interpreter is not fluent in the two languages and there's no good cause given, USCIS could consider that a failure to appear for the person's asylum interview. So a very important new development that went into effect yesterday. There's also going to be a USCIS webinar on the TPS, Temporary Protected Status Extension, and redesignation for Ukraine. USCIS is hosting a number of engagement opportunities for people to learn more about benefits that they may qualify for, and this is one of them. So on Tuesday, October 3rd, from 1 to 2 p.m. Central Time, there will be an engagement session on temporary protected status for Ukraine, and we'll share the information on how to register. And finally, oh no, not finally, another update is the Department of Homeland Security has launched a national campaign for non-citizens who are work eligible but who have not yet applied for an employment authorization document. DHS indicates that that USCIS is sending email and text notifications. The languages listed are English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole, with additional notifications in Ukrainian and Russian planned. USCIS is also planning to distribute flyers to local non-governmental organizations, stakeholders, and migrants to explain the work authorization application process and provide a QR code to access the I-765 employment authorization application. And I think this is the last update that I have. The reintroduction in the U.S. House of Representatives of CEDRA, the Southeast Asian Deportation Relief Act, which is sponsored by representatives including Judy Chu of California, Pramila Jayapal from Washington, Zoe Lofgren from California, and Ayanna Presley from Massachusetts. This bill would end the deportation of Southeast Asian refugees and provide additional protections for over 15,000 community members with final orders of removal. So very interesting bill. It would limit Department of Homeland Security authority to detain or deport Southeast Asian refugees from Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam who arrived in the United States by 2008, would permanently authorize work authorization for Southeast Asians with a final order of removal with a 5-year renewal period, and would end in-person ICE check-ins and establish 5-year intervals between virtual check-ins for Southeast Asians on orders of supervision. So definitely a bill to watch, and we'll share more information, including a Facebook video with the organization CRAC, kind of going through the bill's provision in the notes from today. And with that, I will turn it over to Edmundo.
Great, Michelle, thank you. That CEDRA bill is quite important, as I remember when we both started out our positions, that was such a difficult topic, topic of very high importance to the communities in Minnesota because of the large number of Southeast Asians we have living. And if I recall, the number of folks with removal orders was somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,000 in Minnesota. Does that number sound familiar, Michelle?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Michelle, for all those updates. It's a lot of information. Well, next, we're going to go back to our Welcoming Week theme and hear from Twin Cities Rise, presentations by Layla Hussein. Layla?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay.
And Michelle, that was pretty impressive. That was rapid fire. You covered a lot of information in a very short amount of time. I am impressed. Well, thank you both for having me. I'm really honored and excited to be here with you all today. To introduce myself, I'm Layla Hussein, and I used to work at CAPI with the Afghan Resettlement and Housing Stability Program. So I do see a lot of familiar names, which is really fun. So hi, friends. Hi, everyone. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And I'm here today with Twin Cities Rise. I'm now a community outreach coordinator with Twin Cities Rise. So I'm just excited to tell you a little bit about this opportunity. If you're working directly with community members, with new Americans, with with folks who are looking for employment and for career support, I have just some really exciting resources to share with you today, and hope to just give you an overview of what we do at Twin Cities Rise. So you're good. You can see my screen, Michelle?
Yes.
Okay. So at Twin Cities Rise, we are a nonprofit organization. We started in North Minneapolis about 30 years ago, and our mission is to help individuals transform their lives. So we help transform the lives of those impacted by racial or socioeconomic barriers through personal empowerment, career training, and meaningful employment. So really our focus is career development, career training, and personal empowerment, which I'll talk about in a little bit here. Right. So Twin Cities Rise, it's really important. You know, there's so many career trainings out there. So some people are like, how do I get started with developing my career and all these free career trainings? It's really important that you know that Twin Cities Rise is really focused on personal empowerment and emotional intelligence. And so through our personal empowerment curriculum, we get individuals back in touch with core value, what we call core value, which is that we believe it is every single individual's birthright to feel lovable, important, and valuable. And I think this is particularly, just like coming from an immigrant family myself, I think this is particularly important for newcomers who might not be in touch with their self-worth or their value, might have been through some trauma. And so the personal empowerment curriculum is very transformative for a lot of people who go through the program, just how they relate to themselves, how they relate to others, and their self-awareness ultimately. So talk a lot about core value in our personal empowerment curriculum. Let's see if you can hear this video. This is a short video from Viola Davis because we all love her. Yes. Could you hear that, Michelle?
No,
I
we
couldn't
couldn't hear it.
Oh.
her.
Okay.
Can you share
that's
the
okay.
clip? Can you put the clip in the chat? That way we
Sure.
can maybe
Yeah,
listen
and
to
she
it.
really just says there's nothing you have to do for worth. You don't have to hustle for it. You don't have to barter for it. You don't have to do anything but be born. So that really is what we mean by birthright and core value, is that every single person is born with value to add to this world. And that is really what we believe and what we help individuals get back in touch with through our personal empowerment classes. All right. So we've been around for 30 years and really helping individuals become not just empowered and employed, but find meaningful employment and a career that they can settle into. So we're really focused on the long-term career success. It's not just a short-term career training. Each program provides personal empowerment training, which is really about transformational change within oneself and self-awareness and social awareness. I went through this program myself. We had to go through personal empowerment as staff, and it was very transformational for me. So I hear a lot of graduates say, I came for the credential and I came to Twin Cities Rise to get a career, get a certificate and develop my career, but I learned a lot about myself through the process. So we do that through life skills as well. And each class, each program that we provide offers a lot of support services. So this is one-on-one career coaching, resource assistance, like we have gas cards and bus cards and opportunities for funding as well for additional certifications. We work on interview prep and resume creation. We offer paid internships and guaranteed job interviews. So really at the end of the 8-week training session, our goal is to set people up with careers and introduce them to employers who are eager to hire our graduates. There's also a $500 completion bonus to complete the program to honor people's time and energy in going through it, and a lifelong career club membership. So just to show you that, Twin Cities Rise, the 8-week program is just the beginning, and there's a lot of support for individuals' career moving forward. We have 3 different classes right now. So we have an individualized class called My Road to Success. We have a communications and customer support class, and then a facilities maintenance, which there's a really high paying, this is a very high paying career pathway in facilities maintenance to get into HVAC, plumbing, blueprint reading. There's a lot of people who want to get into property maintenance and property management that get into this track as well. And then just to share one other opportunity that we have for those of you in St. Paul or Ramsey County, we have the diesel technician training program, and we just had a cohort kickoff on Monday, actually. And so we have limited the space in this class, but people can earn up to $4,500 to go through this training program. It's at St. Paul College, who's our partner, and it really equips people to basically get everything that they need to get started as a diesel mechanic or diesel technician. And this is for Ramsey County individuals 18 to 30. We have classes that start every month. So whenever somebody enrolls, we'll get them into the next cohort that begins. All of our classes, besides the diesel technician training, are online on Zoom. We set people up with laptops too. A lot of people are worried like they don't have tech access or Wi-Fi. So we can support with Wi-Fi and laptops as a support service to get people set up to be able to attend our classes virtually. We work with a huge network of employer partners, and we're really focused on employer partners that have promotional opportunities and good pay scales and benefits. And then you might be wondering, I know somebody who needs this service and needs support in developing their career. Who is eligible? So really, you just need to live in the 7-county metro, be at least 18 years or older, willing and able to work full-time, meet our income requirements. And we do work with a lot of different criminal backgrounds, so that's typically not a problem. And then we do have some requirements like high school diploma or GED for our facilities maintenance class. But if people don't have that, they could definitely get into the My Road class. And in my work with the Ukrainian Center and in the Afghan community, there are a lot of questions about English level as well. And we just really generally say that folks must have like an elementary level of English language in order to be comfortable going through the class. So we don't have an English assessment at Twin Cities Rise. It really would just be based on if someone feels comfortable and confident moving through the class and getting benefit from it. So that's something we kind of screen during intake, and we can talk to an individual to see if their English would be at a suitable level. I'm going to skip over this slide and just show you that our program impact. So we originally started at Twin Cities Rise focused on reducing recidivism. So we work with a lot of folks who have been previously incarcerated. But part of my role is really to share this opportunity with folks from many different communities, including the immigrant and refugee community, because we know that as somebody is a newcomer here, there are so many different things to navigate, including the job market. The job market is very overwhelming for anyone, even a native-born U.S. citizen. So we are really just.
Oh, if someone is on, could you mute, please?
Okay, I think we're good.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's really, we're here to just help folks navigate the job process and looking for full-time employment, and to really gain the skills to know what our employer is looking for, how to develop my resume, how to prepare for an interview, all of those pieces that are really key to understanding the workforce situation that we have in Minnesota right now. So just to show you our team real quick, this is the outreach team at Twin Cities Rise. And we encourage you to reach out, because if you have an individual that you want to refer to Twin Cities Rise, we are more than happy to just talk it through over the phone. I'm going to put my information in the chat. I threw a lot of information out today in a short amount of time. I tried to do rapid fire like Michelle. So I'll put my information in the chat, and I would love to hear from any of you if you have anyone interested in support in developing, not just finding a job, but really advancing their career and finding financial stability. So that is what I'm here for. And thank you so much for having me.
Great. Layla, thank you so much. It was a lot of information, and we really appreciate you being here and telling us about Twin Cities Rise. Any questions for Layla?
Layla, that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing so much information so efficiently. And I hope if you can put your contact information in the chat, that would be useful for folks as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, with that, we'll turn it back over to Michelle for calendar of events. Michelle.
Super. So I see some people who I think have stuff to share today. So I'm going to turn the mic over to you all. Steve, I saw you visible for a second. So perhaps we can start with you. We're going to do a calendar of events, community updates. So please take it away.
Michelle, thank you. Edmundo, thank you as well for the invitation to spend a little bit of time with everybody today. My name is Steve Hawkins, and I'm with the Ignatian Volunteer Corps of the Twin Cities, IVC for short. And we're on a mission to harness the incredible experience, the wisdom, the skill, and the passion of retired men and women who want to make positive changes in our community by contributing 1 or 2 days a week of their time to serving the needs of organizations who are deeply rooted in communities facing adversity. In short, we're kind of matchmakers for retired men and women who still want to make a difference. And what we've noticed over the course of the last 6 months, maybe a year or more, excuse me, is an increased emphasis on the work we're doing with organizations serving the refugee community here in the Twin Cities. Not only is the need growing, but the number of volunteers that we're finding interested in serving that community is growing as well. And in response to that, we're going to be holding an event coming in during October. Let me see if I can. Did that come up?
Yes.
Sister Norma?
Yes.
So we're delighted to have joining us the evening of October 19th, Sister Norma Pimentel, who is the CEO of Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley. She has been a passionate caregiver for those men and women and families who have been forced out of their countries and are hoping to find adequate living conditions here in the United States. And as she cares for them, she'll be here to share with us the needs that they have, not only on the border, but here even within our own community. So we'd like to invite people who might be interested to listen to Sister that evening to consider joining us. And it's not, we hope, just a one and done nice evening to listen, but hopefully it's a forum at which individuals concerned about the issues surrounding a growing need to care for our brothers and sisters seeking refuge in our community to come together and begin that discussion that Brianna spoke about a little bit earlier, to drive change that continues within our community beyond the driver's licenses, beyond the opening of MinCare for medical assistance for those in need, to really get our citizens involved in making a difference, welcoming brothers and sisters to help us as a community grow. So I urge you to consider joining us on October 19th. By the way, Sister will also be holding a forum during the noon hour that day on the campus of St. Thomas University, where the students from St. Kate's and St. Thomas will be gathering together to listen to her speak, ask questions, and hopefully plant that seed of engagement to answer the call of our brothers and sisters in need.
Oh, you're muted, Michelle.
I know, sorry. Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much for sharing that information. I think we have the flyer and we'll distribute that along with the notes from today's meeting. So thanks very much for walking us through that. And I'm not sure if there are other updates, but I'm going to start talking. And if people want to raise their hands for other community events or community updates that you would like to share, please feel free to do so. First, COPAL, the organization COPAL, is hosting a resource fair and a Latine festival this Saturday, September 16th. Tomorrow, there is an event called El Grito del Pueblo on Lake Street in recognition and celebration of Latino Heritage Month, and that is going to be from 3 to 9 p.m. Some sad news, the Festival of Nations, which has been taking place in, I believe, May, in St. Paul for decades, is ending and will not be taking place in May of this coming year. There was just recently an announcement about that. Also, the organization CETUL, Centro Trabajadores Unidos en la Lucha, is co-coordinating a clinic with the University of Minnesota Binger Center for New Americans and Advocates for Human Rights, as well as the Minnesota Attorney General's Office and the Minnesota Department of Labor, convening lawyers, labor investigators, and community advocates to learn more about labor-based deferred action. That it will be a training that includes an overview of the deferred action process and more. The date is Thursday, September 21st from noon to 2 p.m. via Zoom. We'll share the link in the chat. And one additional update I wanted to share was a new partnership between Airbnb and Alight, which enables folks to have 30 days of temporary housing. With this partnership, refugees, asylum seekers, individuals in the U.S. on humanitarian parole, or those with other immigrant status designation that has a similar humanitarian purpose may be able to receive up to 30 days of temporary housing in an Airbnb or hotel. Funding will last through December 31st of this year. And it's important to know that a case manager needs to be working with the family, or there must be some other formal relationship with a partnering organization, as Alight is unable to offer case management support. There is a point of contact. Her name is Leah Gies-Guy, and we'll share contact information and where requests for bookings should be made, because there is a form. And not sure if there are other updates. I see Greg King on. You are on the agenda in just a hot minute, but if there are other updates that people may want to share before we get to that, please do share. And Muna, I'm going to turn it back to you for the driver's license for all update too.
Thanks, Michelle. Just very quickly, I'd like to give a driver's license for all update. The Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota will be hosting an event on September 19th at Minneapolis Central Library from 6 to 8 p.m., where folks with unpaid traffic tickets can come and get brief legal advice from public defenders about how to handle their tickets in order to get ready for driver's license for all on October 1st. People may not be fully aware that paying off certain traffic tickets all at once can sometimes cause additional issues with getting their license, and public defenders can help folks better understand what the best way to handle their individual situations may be. The public defenders will be from Hennepin County, but people from other counties are welcome to attend as well. It's free and a first come, first served basis. There will be 3 public defenders available for brief consults. We'll put a link to the Immigrant Law Center's event page, as well as a link to the Immigrant Law Center Facebook page in the chat so that people can access more information about that event. And with that, I think we're going to turn it over to Greg King to talk a little bit about the Northstar Act. Welcome, Greg. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for time on the agenda. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to share a slide here real quickly. Please tell me when you see it.
Yes, we
I
do
am
see it. Hey,
here.
Greg, just one quick second. There's a little bit of static on the line, and I'm not sure whether that's just my computer or if other people are hearing that too.
We're hearing that too.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to fix it. Michelle, I do apologize. I guess, is it unintelligible?
No, we can still hear you. Just know there's a little bit of static. So if I'm not sure if you want to keep on going or if everybody else can mute themselves, maybe that will help. I'm going to mute myself right now. Go ahead.
I will push through and give contact information in the chat for people who want to follow up. So apologies. Oh, thanks, Layla, for the note. So my name is Greg King. I'm the president of the board of the Interfaith Coalition on Immigration, and we are one of the organizations who are part of the leadership of the Northstar Alliance, over 30 faith-based social justice, immigrant, civil, and human rights organizations. You see some of their logos there. Looking at who's in this meeting, I don't think I need to explain who many of these groups are, but united in the idea that we want to build on making Minnesota a welcoming state for our immigrant neighbors, build on the successes of last session legislatively to make sure that all immigrants can live their lives with dignity, safety, and respect, and that Minnesota can benefit in so many ways, as you all know, from their contributions. The primary thing we are working on in this upcoming session, and what I'm here to talk to you today about briefly, is what's called the Northstar Act. You know, with soon to be thousands of legal non-citizen drivers on the roads, we think it's an important time to clarify the role of law enforcement and differentiate that from the role of immigration enforcement. And so the Northstar Act is a law that would, if passed, put together clear lines of demarcation between those functions and make sure that we are not profiling people for their immigration status as we're trying to do public safety operations. It will limit sharing of data, limit cooperation and using of state and local resources for the purposes of ICE or Immigration Customs Enforcement actions. It will also apply in many spaces to make sure that our immigrant communities know that they are safe at county libraries and going to courtrooms and going to county hospitals and public schools. And so it puts stronger enforcement of ICE-sensitive location limitations. And the reasons for this is that we want to make sure that our immigrant communities feel comfortable accessing their rights, getting medical care, taking their kids to school, and that there's not profiling on the basis of immigration status going on under the guise of law enforcement or public safety. Our belief in the STAR in North Star is an acronym for safety, trust, and respect, is that this will be important to establish a level of trust and make sure that, again, our communities are safe to report when their rights have been violated, to access schools, hospitals, and law enforcement when they need to for their health and well-being, and then just show respect for their being here as a state. And so this is legislation that was introduced last session. We have lead authors in the House and Senate, and the invitation here today is if your organization is interested in endorsing this legislation, we would welcome that. Helping work on community outreach and legislative visits about the importance of this legislation, we would welcome that. And if you just want to learn more about it, we will come and do a listening session with your leadership team or community members so you can better understand what the legislation does. So the website northstaract.org also summarizes the coalition and the work. And I will put the name of our lead organizer, Adriana Cerillo, and her email into the chat. You can reach out to her directly or contact us through the website here. And I will take any questions.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Greg. You really appreciate individuals who are spearheading initiatives at the state legislature to come on the Twin Cities Immigration Forum and share information about what they're doing and identify ways that people can get engaged if they choose to do so. So invite people to ask questions if you have them today. And then, Greg, if you put your information in the chat, people can reach out to Adriana afterwards in case they are interested in learning more or have a desire to become more involved. Really appreciate that you made time to hop on today.
Thanks for giving me the time. Good to see y'all.
Good to see you, Greg.
All right, Edmundo, I think back to you
Okay.
for job opportunities.
Great. We have two job opportunities to share with you today. Both are Brooklyn Park. Brooklyn Park has two openings for community engagement specialists on the city's community engagement division team. There are both full-time roles with the option of hybrid work. One is permanent, the other is grant funded through 2024. But the city of Brooklyn Park is seeking funding beyond that end of 2024. Applicants should apply through the city's system and submit a resume and cover letter. The closing date is coming up soon. It's coming up September 17th, just in a couple of days. So if you have questions, you can contact Josie Shardlow, the administrator of community engagement, or she's the community engagement manager at Brooklyn Park, and we'll put Josie's contact phone number and links to connecting with the information for the job in the chat. Michelle, I think we're back to you for extra credit.
Yep. So I'd be remiss if I didn't also include the link for jobs at the City of Minneapolis. City of Minneapolis is always hiring. So please do check out the link to see the latest job opportunities at City of Minneapolis. And finally, extra credit. You know, every once in a while we pull some information and invite people to read, explore further. And recently there was an editorial by former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg in the New York Times addressing asylum seekers and work authorization and pointing to the reality that it is un-American I love that he said that, to not enable people to apply for a work authorization, obtain work authorization when they're physically allowed to enter the United States. So worth a read, and invite all to take a moment and read this quick editorial. I hope you don't hit a paywall with this link that I am about to share. And I have a couple of additional updates, but I see a hand is raised by Mary. So please go ahead. Do you have a question or comment? If you want to unmute, Mary, if you had a comment, go ahead. I heard you say, yeah. If you want to put it in the chat. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I have no comment. I'm sorry. I did not raise my hand.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. All right. So then a couple of additional further readings. There was a recent report that came out from the Urban Institute on the continuing chilling effect of the public charge rule. For those who may recall, this is a rule that was given some very sharp teeth during the previous presidential administration, impacting individuals' ability to obtain permanent residence based on use of public benefits, has since been retracted and changed by the Biden administration. But it's very important to recognize that the public charge rule has continued to have a chilling effect on people's willingness to access benefits, public benefits, including benefits that they qualify for. So worth a read. And then the last item that I will share is actually shared with us by Dr. Saida Abdi. It is a research bulletin, disaster, behavioral health, and approaches to community response and recovery. So very interesting reading. I'll put that in the chat as well. And the last thing I'll mention, since We are here during Welcoming Week is the Journey to Belonging report. Again, I know it was referenced earlier in our meeting today, which is really a collaborative effort that included community members, community leaders, governmental representatives at the municipal, the county, and the state level, with a leadership team that included representatives from the Minneapolis Regional Chamber, the St. Paul Chamber, and City of Minneapolis and City of St. Paul. It was a comprehensive report on immigrant and refugee inclusion, goals and strategies in a number of thematic areas, and is definitely worth a read. We'll put that in the chat here, and I'll have to stop talking to do it. But invite people to have a look if you have not already. If you see your work, your community reflected in this report, please, please, please reach out to us. We are always looking for partners, and please understand that this report really guides the work of the cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, guides the work of my office, the office where I work, OIRA Minneapolis, as well as the office where Edmundo is located in St. Paul. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. And with that, I will turn it to Edmundo.
Right. Thank you. And I would just put in a plug for the Journey to Belonging in that we came up with the standards based on the welcome standards from Welcoming America. So the report really does reflect the Welcoming America's welcoming standards, and had it was based on those standards. We use that as a framework for developing our report. So again, Welcoming America has been very, very good to us. All right. With that, we will call it a day unless people have questions or other updates they'd like to have a chance to present. Would like to open the floor for a minute or two. If not, we're going to call it a day. Give you back 10 minutes extra. Our next Twin Cities Immigration Forum will be on Thursday, October 12th, from 4:30 to 6. We do have a welcoming Twin Cities meeting scheduled for newcomers concerns, where we discuss with community concerns about people who are newly arrived to the Twin Cities. That will be on September 20th at 4:30. And as always, please feel free to contact Michelle or I with ideas or topics or agenda items for any forum. So thank you. With that, I want to thank you for joining our Welcoming Week version of the Twin Cities Immigration Forum, and happy Welcoming Week to everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Buonanotte.
Buonanotte a tutti.